Hello dear friends, and welcome back to HeartTouch Stories, the channel where every story is not just told but felt deeply in the heart. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever experienced a moment when you had nothing material to give, yet the only thing you could offer was kindness? And somehow, that kindness returned to you in a way you never imagined? Today's story is about a young student who had nothing to pay with except his own heart. But that one act of kindness changed everything. Stay with me until the end, because this story carries a lesson you'll never forget. In a small town nestled between rolling hills and a quiet river, there lived a boy named Daniel. Daniel was a student from a very humble family. His father worked odd jobs, and his mother sold vegetables in the market. Every day was a struggle, but Daniel carried one thing with him wherever he went: a smile. One evening, after finishing his late classes, Daniel realized he didn't have enough money left to pay for his bus fare home. He had counted his coins over and over again, just a few cents short. The night air was cold, and walking home would take nearly 2 hours. Exhausted, with his books weighing heavily on his back, he stepped onto the bus anyway. When the driver asked for his fare, Daniel lowered his eyes and whispered, "Sir, I don't have enough money today." The driver, tired and frustrated from a long day, frowned. Passengers behind him sighed impatiently. Daniel's face flushed with embarrassment. But then, instead of begging or arguing, Daniel quietly took out a small piece of paper from his notebook. He wrote something quickly, folded it neatly, and handed it to the driver. The driver hesitated. It wasn't money. It wasn't even a ticket. But on that little note, in Daniel's simple handwriting, were these words: "I'm sorry I couldn't pay today, but thank you for driving us safely every day. Your work matters, even if people don't always say it." The bus went silent. The driver stared at the note, his rough hands trembling slightly. For the first time in years, someone had thanked him, not for the fare, not for the ride, but for simply being there. Without a word, the driver nodded and let Daniel sit down. That small act of kindness, so unexpected, so genuine, was more valuable than the few coins Daniel couldn't pay. Days turned into weeks. Daniel almost forgot about that night. But one morning, as he boarded the same bus again, the driver called out to him. "Hey kid," he said, smiling for the first time. He handed Daniel a small envelope. Inside was a bus pass valid for the entire semester. "Someone left this for you," the driver said, his eyes shining with a warmth Daniel had never seen before. Daniel's heart swelled. He had paid once with kindness, and now kindness had returned to him multiplied. Not because he asked, not because he expected it, but because kindness has a way of circling back often when we least expect it. So what do you think happened next? How far can one small act of kindness go in shaping someone's life? This story reminds us that value is not always measured in money. Sometimes the greatest currency we can offer is respect, gratitude, and kindness. Daniel couldn't afford a bus fare that night, but he gave something far more precious, a moment of recognition to a man who felt invisible. And in return, he received not just a bus pass, but a lesson that would stay with him forever. The truth is, kindness has a ripple effect. What you give freely, from the heart, will eventually find its way back to you. Perhaps not in the same form, but in ways that will warm your soul. So the next time you feel like you have little to offer, remember, a kind word, a simple smile, or a small note of appreciation might just be the richest payment of all. Thank you, dear listener, for staying with us through this story. If this tale touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need a reminder of the power of kindness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here at HeartTouch Stories, where every story is a doorway to the soul. Until next time, may your days be filled with love, light, and endless kindness. Goodbye for now.